this presentation to have the opportunity to speak with you today from New England College. We are going to be speaking with you about our executive master's programs and giving you some general information about New England College and an overview of some of the details of the structure of our executive programs. We have two members of our admission staff with us tonight who are going to speak with you about the admission process. And we have two members of our faculty who are on the call who can give you some information and answer your questions about the academic programs themselves, our MBA, Master of Business Administration, and then our two MS programs in data analytics and then information technology and cybersecurity. We'll also cover some of the basics about our internship and CPT programs that provide work authorization. And then we're going to open it up and answer your questions. So we're going to do a pretty quick presentation and then move forward. First of all, New England College is a university level institution. That's one of the things that some people get confused about. We indeed offer bachelor's, master's, and doctoral programs. We are a nonprofit institution. We are regionally accredited by the New England Commission on Higher Education. That's the same accrediting body that accredits Harvard University, MIT, and many others around the New England region. We were founded in 1946, and we have presently many international students enrolled. In fact, we were, just before the pandemic anyway, we were in the 500 US institutions for our international student enrollment. We are located in the state of New Hampshire. We have two campuses in Henniker, our main campus, and then another campus in Manchester, which is the largest city in the state of New Hampshire. In all, we're about between, depending upon which campus, either 60 minutes or 90 minutes away from Boston. Boston International Airport. There's an airport also in Manchester, Manchester-Boston Regional Airport. One of the things that you will understand about us, in addition to the strength of our academic programs, is that our staff and our faculty have very friendly relationships with our students. We get to know our students on a personal basis, answer their questions, and that's important to us. It's an important component of everything that we offer. So the executive programs they vary in length. The MBA is 6 semesters, which is about 24 months to complete. And the Master of Science programs take 5 semesters or 20 months to complete. We have each semester is 15 weeks. And there are 3 semesters in each academic year. They span the entire calendar. And we have 6 intakes. So 6 times we have a 15-week semester starting. Students enroll and take 2 courses per semester, and then do a 1-credit internship or CPT. So that's a total of 7 credits per semester. And that makes students full-time, which is important. In order to be an F1 student, you need to be full-time, and so 7 credits per semester is full-time. Our academic delivery is hybrid, which means that it's online coursework throughout most of the semester, and then an on-campus residency once per semester. So that's an on-campus residency 3 times per year. Now, today, big update, major update on that note. Today, the announcement was made that the residency, the on-campus, what has been during the pandemic, and a remote residency will continue to be remote through June of 2023. So if you begin with us, at least through June 2023, the residencies will be remote, which means you do not need to come to the campus. Our tuition and fees are total $3,240 per semester. We know that is affordable. We've compared the prices at other institutions, and in fact, we have not increased tuition since 2015. And we do have monthly payment plans available for students. And I already mentioned that we have 6 start dates per year, and you can see that the upcoming start dates, that's the first date of the upcoming terms, beginning May 16th and so forth. So I'm going to turn the presentation over to Amy and Emily, Amy Goldstein. Take it away, Amy, to talk about the admission process.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Goldstein. I'm one of the international admission counselors here at NEC, along with Emily Prudhomme, who's here with us tonight. We are the team that sort of initially works with you in order to walk you through the admission process. So as Brad mentioned, we have 3 available term starts coming up, which is May 16th, July 18th, and September 5th. The deadline for applying to any of those programs is always the Wednesday before the term starts. And then we also have a deadline to transfer your CVIS record the Thursday before the term starts. So even though the deadline is pretty close to the program term start, we do encourage students to apply and get admitted as soon as they can, just so they can plan ahead with their DSO and make sure that they can ensure their timely transfer of their CVIS so we get it by our deadline. Sort of the timing of your transfer can depend on your DSO. So you just want to make sure that you plan ahead and, get admitted as soon as you can. Timeline for a completely submitted application is typically 2 to 3 business days. And so a completed application includes a copy of your I-20 showing that you're in active status, your resume, a passport, and it can't be expired, and then also a declaration of finance showing that you have $23,050 available to you. And then we also require an official transcript sent directly to us from your school where you achieved your first master's degree. So once we have all of those items, then we can proceed with your admission. We would send you an official letter with your next steps explaining how to transfer your CVIS record and kind of everything you would need to know about the whole onboarding process, when you'll start getting registered for classes, the CPT process, working with the International Student Office and advising. So if you have any questions throughout the process, you can email us. I can put the email in the chat, but it's graduateadmission@nec.edu, which you can see on the screen right there. And our application page is just apply.nec.edu. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us, and you can also give us a call at the number you see on your screen. So we look forward to working with you. Thank you.
Awesome, Amy. Thank you so much. And Amy and Emily are in the office, and they do talk to students on the phone. So as she said, don't hesitate to email or place a call, and there's the number.
Can I ask you a question, Amy? This comes from Joe. He says, question regarding CPT. There are gaps or holidays between terms for NEC. Are there also gaps for CPT?
I believe that the CPT does not have a gap, and that correct me if I'm wrong, if someone knows the answer to this, but I think you continue to do your job and have to report on your CPT when there are those gaps.
That's correct.
Okay.
And just a note, I believe the Go Elite team would like us to complete the presentation, and then they're going to facilitate questions they want us to answer verbally afterwards.
Yes, and we will share the questions after your presentation.
Awesome.
And can I actually, this slide just reminded me, Brad, of one more thing that I did want to mention. I know there's a lot of interest in the executive MBA, and so we just want to make sure that students applying to the executive MBA haven't already gotten an MBA somewhere else. So just keep that in mind when selecting the program that you're trying to enroll in at NEC.
Thank you, Amy. I'd like to ask our professors to say hello to you, beginning with Dr. Katrina, who is, among other things, she directs our management programs and our Master of Business Administration program. Dr. Kerr?
Hi, how are you tonight? I'm so glad you guys have a chance to come and join us to learn a little bit more about us at NEC and about our programs. So if there are any questions, don't hesitate, pop them in the chat. I know we're ready to answer anything you send our way. But one of the things I love about our campus and community is our students really become a part of that family. They don't get lost in the shuffle. We have smaller class sizes. You get to have a lot of interaction with your faculty, and they really strive to help you build a holistic approach within the MBA. We want to see you develop personally, professionally, and academically. So during your time with us, you really get an opportunity to test the waters, expand your skills, and really build your network as you move on that next stage in your professional career.
Awesome, thank you. Next, Professor Dave Pollack, who oversees for the executive program our IT programs in information technology and cybersecurity and data analytics. Dave.
And I'm welcoming you all to this webinar. Happy to have the opportunity to talk with you. And really, the only thing that I want to say is this. My top student right now is from China, and I'd love to have more.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that that's going to happen. Great, thank you. And then finally, the internship, which, as I mentioned, is an integral part of the academic program each semester. So students are doing, for the most part, CPT, and it begins in the first semester. Students complete we refer to it as the EAF, the Employment Authorization Form, which is sent to you, to admitted students, by our DSO after your CVIS record is transferred to us. So after your CVIS record comes to New England College, you receive the enrollment authorization form along with detailed instructions to complete it. And I mentioned accreditation earlier, that New England College is accredited, of course, by the our New England Association. In addition, we comply to the letter with all of the rules of the USCIS and CVIS. And so those are rules that are very specific, they're highly detailed, and those regulations direct how we handle things, how we manage forms such as the EAF and all else. And a DSO is a designated school official. I think you're probably familiar with that. Each student would come to New England College will have your DSO stay with you throughout the program. So it's someone who you can contact at any point in time throughout the program. And when you have a chance to speak to our DSOs, they will say that their job is to make sure that our international students remain in compliance with the regulations so that you can continue to if you're working and doing CPT, that you can continue to do that without interruption. Okay, I'm going to pause there. Team Go Elite, and I think we're ready for questions.
Hi, thank you, Brad, for all the useful information. Sorry about my Wi-Fi was broken for a while. Let me share the question part. Just a sec. Vita, could you please share the question?
Okay, so let me share my screen here.
Okay.
And our team at NEC is we'll just figure out amongst ourselves who will go and answer. We've done this before, so. So the answer to the first question, I'll jump in there first. Is it required to have a master's degree to apply for the executive programs at New England College? And does a Chinese degree work? The students have to have completed a master's degree from a US institution. So that is a requirement for our master's, the executive program masters. Amy, I'm gonna turn to you for—
Yeah. I could talk a little bit about number two. So our international student office is actually the office that will process your CPT and give you an updated I-20. We don't have any representatives from that group with us tonight, but I can answer this question as best I can. And then you can also reach out to us if you have more questions and we can put you in touch with them. But basically what happens is once you schedule your CVIS to be transferred over to us, that indicates to us that you are an enrolled student. So once you're an enrolled student, then you would start the CPT process with the International Student Office. So what they would do is send you the employment authorization form with details. You would complete that form along with having a supervisor from your work site take a look at the form and sign off on it. And then you would provide that form along with your offer letter from your job back over to the International Student Office, and they would walk you through the process of getting your CPT authorization on your I-20 form and then send that to you. They strive to have it by the start of the program, just pending timely paperwork. But that's the basic overview of how that process works. So really it starts going once your CVIS record comes over to us.
Is New England College a nonprofit university? Yes, New England College is nonprofit. And can I use the degree I earned from NEC to apply for a Master Cap H-1B? Many of our students have received an H-1B. I know that. Many of our students, some students before they finish the program, others after they complete the program. Students have successfully earned or received an H-1B.
Brad, could I jump in there quickly on that one?
Yes, please.
So one of the things that we strive to do is we know that a lot of students are working through that visa process. And if a student goes from an F1 to an H1B, we actually have programs that you can take all the work that you've done in the executive and move it over to the online version. So for example, within the executive MBA, and a number of students that have been awarded an H-1B, we brought that work over and then they were able to finish out the MBA completely online with not having to worry about residencies or the internships. So we really strive to work with students as they are going through that entire process to provide as many options and support as possible.
This next one is a great question. There are gaps in holidays between terms at NEC. Will there be gaps in CPT? Who wants to answer that one?
I can jump in on that because this has come up a lot. And I know Dave will agree on that one. So the way our calendar is set, you're completely fine because your paperwork will cover if we have a holiday week, you know, based on the academic calendar, if there's a break, if there's a 1 or 2 week break between, let's say, your spring 1 term and your summer 1 term. What you would do is in your coursework, when the official term and your official coursework is starting in that term, then you would continue to submit your weekly logs and all of your coursework. So we know that's a question that comes up a lot, but when it's part of our core academic calendar, you're absolutely covered in those areas.
Great. So students will not have gaps in their CPT.
They just continue to work. So you may finish a term and then you have that 2-week gap. You continue to work, your paperwork has you covered. And then once that new term starts, then all of your academic coursework starts again.
Amy, can you address the course registration piece?
Yes. So students will be registered for courses again after CVIS transfer, which indicates to us that you are enrolling. So once we see that, our academic advisor will start registering you for courses. That happens closer to the term start, and she will send that information about all of your courses directly to your New England College email address. Usually, a lot of students kind of wait until the last minute to transfer their CVIS record over. So a lot of the registration happens towards the end of the last week before the term starts. But if you have questions during the process, you can always reach out to us. And you do not register yourself. She will register you for the classes that you need.
And maybe segue to that next question.
Yes.
Yeah.
The answer currently to that is no. Our International Student Office wants the CVIS record before they'll start working on the EAF with you. So you would want to get that CVIS set up to get the ball rolling in order to start working on the employment part.
And now we do not have our DSO on this particular call, but we see question number 7. I don't know if Amy or Katrina or Dave, you have an answer to that question?
It follows that calendar. So we have students that we had a holiday break and they were fine. So their paperwork carried them until the start of that next term. So you would have every student, depending on when you came in, if you started in the summer 1 term, your calendar would follow summer 1, fall 1, spring 1. So if there are any gaps in that, that paperwork will continue. So you're authorized for that block of time.
And if are documents needed to extend CPT from one term to the next?
Yeah, to my knowledge, that they are, there's new forms every single term because it's stamped for a certain amount of time. Think of it like getting a license. You know, sometimes you get a license or a document that covers you for, 15 weeks, 6 months, 5 years. So you'll have a reminder that'll come out because you'll work with the DSO. You'll have someone that will work with you and your classmates that start at the same time, and they help you through that process. So they send it out, I believe, about a month before, so you can start getting that paperwork prepared for the next term.
I don't know if we have an answer to this. Can students work for 2 or more employers while on CPT? And I assume that means simultaneously. If it's simultaneously, I don't have an answer. I know that many students work for multiple employers during the course of their enrollment.
Not necessarily 2 at the same time. I know one of the things we want to make sure we do it case by case, and Dave can add to that, but I know within the MBA, I talk to students about that because the way the programs are set up, your expectation is that you'll be spending about 25 hours a week on your academics. And we don't want to see you set up for failure and working too many hours at the job and not having enough time to do the academics, because we know the 2 of them are really in sync with each other.
We have authorized 1 full-time and 1 part-time in certain situations.
On a case-by-case basis. So is it the program director who makes those that the students would contact about that?
Yes.
Kind of thing? Yes. And you're both program directors, so that's, we're looking
the ones that you'd reach out to and have the discussion with.
Yes. So how many students are in the executive program? So, I mean, we have several hundred students in our executive programs, but I think maybe the student is asking about the size of classes, an individual course.
Well, I can say in MBA, we cap the courses at 20. There's 20 students per course section.
And it's 25 in data analytics and IT.
And what about the school load? Is it heavy? How many hours do students usually spend on?
It's hard to say on an assignment. That's a great question. But what we do is all the courses are built for 3 credits. So it's roughly 135 hours per semester for a course. So when we break it down, it averages out to be about 25 hours a week that students will spend on their academics. And that's reading, that's writing assignments, discussion board posts. So that's everything. And I always find, and when I'm talking to students, there's some classes we all sort of connect with that we might get a little more excited about, and it comes easier. So maybe it's a little less than that. And then we always find classes that are a bit of a challenge. We're not as excited about taking them, and that might take us a little longer. But on average, it's about 25 hours a week.
And then there's a question about orientation. I know we don't have an orientation per se, but could you speak to the experience of new students who are just beginning the program and how we get them oriented?
We have an orientation.
Okay.
We do. Yeah, we absolutely do. We've actually taken 1 orientation and we've broken it out into 2. So students are able to do an orientation with the international office and their DSO to address those specific questions. And then we have an academic orientation with all of our new executive students every term. And that brings in Dave, myself, Bethany. We bring in student financial services so we can really help get them, off on the right foot.
Great, thank you. And then there's a question about residencies. And this question is about the on-campus residency and the schedule. So I would ask Katrina or Dave or both to speak to that. And then maybe, although this wasn't asked, what are the virtual residencies like?
Well, I know they're a little different with each program. right now, the virtual residencies. The way MBA breaks it down is if you, in your first term, are taking your leadership class and your communications class, you have live sessions for both. They're separate. When it comes to being on campus, it would be 3 days. And the way it's set up, it actually runs pretty much, some of the days are 9 to 5, and then some of them, one of the days is like 11 to 8. And that is subject to change, you know, depending on how things sort of move. But we've got it mapped out for Friday, Saturday, Sunday is what we've built. And we've been able to really work on that schedule. So it's a very reasonable day for people. So you have time to, you know, leave campus, have dinner, you know, meet with classmates, maybe meet with friends that happen to be in the area, people that you're getting to know in the program. So it's, you know, you're not in there for, you know, a 12, 13, 14-hour day. It's a much more reasonable approach that we have when we bring you back to campus.
And you can get to the airport on Sunday.
Plenty of time to do that.
Yes. Our virtual residencies are led by the instructors. It depends on what courses you happen to be taking in the term. You'll be assigned to a residency meeting with an instructor that's teaching one of those courses, and the content will be related to whatever the course you happen to be taking.
So Amy, how long does it usually take for students to get their admission offers from the date they submitted all required application materials?
So for our executive program, once you have all of the required documentation in, it typically only takes us about 2 to 3 days to send you your official admission decision.
2 to 3 days, super.
Yes. And the next question, does the offer letter have the start date the same as the CPT start date? I think the student's asking if their job offer letter needs to have a start date of the same as the CPT start. I'm not certain. I don't know if Dave or Katrina knows the answer to that.
I do. We have had several students who started their work after the CPT start date while they were going through an orientation process, or they're waiting for paperwork. They're waiting for the relationship to finalize with the employer. And so we've actually this term, we have 2 fellows that started 10 days after the start of the CPT. And we record that waiting process as well in our internship course.
So this is next question, 15. Again, because we don't have a DSO on the call, I don't believe we can give you a very specific answer other than to say that all students, the question is, what kind of supports will you provide if we got an RFE for the H-1B application?
Answer that.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, because as program directors, we're involved in that. So if you do receive an RFE, we have a central email that you would forward the complete RFE to, including your name, the program you're in, and your student ID number. And it's very easy. It's rfe@nec.edu. And everything goes into a central database. And we process all of that based on the due dates. So all of the different departments that have a role to play. So for instance, your program directors would be responsible for your residency attendance letters. And then there's something that comes from your advising team. There's something that comes from the registrar. So we're able to track when all of that information is complete. And we're able to see that. So having it in that central spot, it's something that we can all access and we can all do our piece, because we don't want to just send something out that's very generic. We try to make sure that it's more personalized, to make sure that you're getting the information that you need in a timely manner.
We do encourage you to keep your own personal records completely. Make sure that your residency locations are recorded and your changes, and keep the syllabi from your courses. Make sure you've got your transcript.
Keep a binder. print it out, keep an electronic copy, but print it out. I would organize it. If it was me and I was studying, abroad, I would keep every single syllabus. You have access to it. You can download it, keep things on a separate drive, print it out. If when we get back to your traveling for a residency, keep all of that documentation, any of your expenses, any information. I think it really helps if you have a file yourself, then, that there's some of the gaps we can't fill in, because that really has to come, from your paperwork, but there's definitely a lot that we can fill in and help you out with.
Great, thank you so much. Dr. Kerr, here's another perfect question for you. If my previous major and current job is not related to the MBA, can I still apply for the MBA program at New England College?
Absolutely. I like to call that the double threat. I have a lot of technical students that then come over, work on the MBA, so they're able to grow both technically and a managerial role, because many of them actually, they want to move up in their organization. So think of it this way. You're coming in with that technical side, and now you're going to have more of that business, that leadership, that management piece. So I think it's great. We have a lot of students that do that.
Great. How often do students need to renew their CPT, and what's the process?
Every term. So you'll get a reminder from your DSO. I know when we were involved in the process and doing the review and the signing of documentation, they would send out an email to students about a month before that next term started to get that process rolling. So that's one of the things that your DSO will continue to work with you. And if you happen to get a new job opportunity and you're changing jobs, they work with you to make sure that paperwork for the new position is all completed and you're in compliance before you start that new job.
Great. A question for Dave Pollock. I'm interested in the data analytics program, but the tentative class schedule, he's not able to see data analytics in the summer semester. Does this mean I cannot apply for the degree program in the summer?
He can certainly, or she can certainly apply. We're putting together the schedule right now.
Is that for the 7-week, or is that for the executive program?
The executive program.
Yeah, because we have set curriculums for that. So those run year round. So you may not see it, but there are always courses and opportunities to join, whether you're going to join, in May or July or even September.
Right, 6 times a year, 6 term starts per year. Will there be a similar webinar for the winter terms, February 2023? Any curriculum admission process-wise, anything different from the info shared at this time? We hope to have ongoing seminars like this. We're certainly available all the time. And everything that we're saying right now is applicable to any term start. It's the same process. Anyone want to add to that?
We've been doing it the same way for a while now.
Gotten pretty good at it, right?
Yeah.
So a follow-up on question 14, can the job offer letter have the start date earlier than the CPT start date?
This might be in relation to somebody with an existing job, and then whether they're transferring in or starting with us. We have a lot of students that are currently working, and the program, their academic program, is new for us, but their job exists. So that would definitely be more of a DSO follow-up. But I know, Dave, you've had students, that have come in, transferred, they're already working. So they're already established. They may have been with a company 6 months, a year, even 2 years. They may, have an MBA looking to join one of Dave's technical degrees, or have a technical degree and looking to come in and join the MBA. So it's not unusual, but I think for some of those, as you're moving through that process, we're going to be able to answer those a bit more specifically for an individual situation.
So the question is, are scholarships available? What's the general process? Actually, scholarships are not available for our executive program or any of our programs for international students. And I guess I would say that they're kind of pre-discounted, if you will. There are, we work hard to make them affordable, keep them affordable. So we do not offer scholarships. I know that at any price, it's always a sacrifice or an investment, I should say, going forward. And we believe it's an excellent investment. I'm going to ask a question that's not asked. I don't know. I mean, I think we've talked about this a little bit. I would ask our two program directors, Katrina and Dave, why should someone earn an MBA? Why should someone study data analytics or cybersecurity? Dr. Kerr, would you?
Sure. I think one of the great things about studying in an MBA is the way our MBA is set up. It really gives you a nice depth and breadth within a role of a manager, a leader. It doesn't mean that you have to be at a certain level in your career at this point, but it's really trying to help you learn more about yourself and how you apply that in your day-to-day interactions with all of your stakeholders, but also start working towards those higher career goal plans that you have. And it's important within our program to make sure that you've got a set of transferable skills that no matter the industry you're working in, that you're going to be able to take what you're learning within the MBA and continue to apply it. And we have courses, so you may talk about, a PESTLE analysis early on in the start of the program in your leadership class, but then you end up revisiting some of that to continue to develop that skill later on in the program when you're taking a quality analysis and technology course to sort of bring those pieces together. So we try to find a lot of ways to help you make those connections to make things meaningful and something that you can apply now, but sometimes sort of squirrel away and keep them, in reserve when you might need it a little later down the road in your career.
Excellent. So the MBA is applicable to lots of different industries and job settings. Dave, could you speak to what's going on with data analytics and cybersecurity? Why do students study those fields right now? Oh, Dave, you're muted.
No, I'm talking to myself. Sorry about that. Data analytics and cybersecurity touch every industry. You can't pick anything that it doesn't apply to. You can look at sports, you can look at logistics, you can look at communications, you can look at marketing, you can look at any sector of the economy, and data analytics is everything. The ability to describe whatever it is you want to describe, make predictions, make prescriptions, and the tools are useful everywhere. Cybersecurity, if you're paying attention to what's going on in the world, same thing is true. We're concerned about cybersecurity in our EHR system, electronic health records. We're concerned about security. We saw what happened with the Maersk line 2 years ago when they got a ransomware and shut down worldwide shipping. We see security problems that exist in every industry. So both of our subjects are topical and useful and broadly applicable.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Thank you. I think all questions are answered, right? So I'm really sorry because Hans and Celine just have some technical issues. And thank your team and for participating in today's info session. And I promise that we will do better next time.
No worries.
Okay.
Thank you so much. No, we're thrilled and we're very happy.
Thank your team. Thank you.
Thank you.